Okay, welcome everybody. Maria Cristina Owl here, and I am with Patrizio Tressoldi here in Venice, Italy. And he is somebody that Helane Wabe has introduced me to. Helane, the Director of Channeling Department at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And I am so amazed that it worked out to meet you today because he also studies channeling. So I want to have you introduce yourself, and then we'll talk more about what your interest is in channeling and your work.
Okay, I'm interested in channeling because I'm interested in who we really are. So channeling is a sort of partial answer of this big quest. I'm leading a research group in Padova University, probably the oldest university in Europe, and the group is called Sciences of Consciousness Research Group, and in general we are interested in consciousness. It is a broad term for defining to study who we really are. And in this particular field, I'm particularly interested in all unusual phenomena, not only what are the neural correlates of our mental activities, and as unusual phenomena, we prefer non-ordinary states of consciousness. I'm particularly interested in all, for example, so-called paranormal phenomena.
Yeah.
And I continue to investigate, for example, remote viewing, psychokinesis, mental-matter interaction, mental-to-mental interaction. And among the different curiosity in this broad field, there is the curiosity about the out-of-body experiences and mediumship, and it's inevitable to meet the channeling, and this was due to the fact that I worked with an hypnotist, and he is an old practitioner with a great experience. He started by using hypnosis for regression to
past life
experiences. For example, we are just completing a study where we investigate what the participants say during such a retrieval of past death, and comparing what they refer with the experiences reported by the people who experience near-death experience. This is another kind of say phenomena that I'm interested in, but I'm not direct investigation at the present. And we, after using hypnosis for inducing out-of-body experiences, it happened quite naturally that some participants reported to be in contact with other entities. And if you want, I can give you all the references, because our style is to make all our finding open to the public, in order that the public can judge by themselves. And if you want to replicate, we are very pleased. If you are skeptical, but they must read what we found and criticize fact and not hypothesis or ideas. And in the first experience was quite strange, because two participants reported contact with entities, Agarthian people. Agartha is something that I didn't know, because it's a sort of a realm that is reporting some tradition.
Right.
I didn't know nothing about, and they reported their dialogue with such entities. And what is interesting is that when this channeling is induced by an hypnotist, the hypnotist can request specific questions to the entities by using the channeler.
Right.
And so sometimes there is a sort of so-called direct connection between the entity, this incarnate entity, and the hypnotist by using the channeler. And when the channel is very trained in this, it is like a sort of telephone.
Right.
He or she, because our channel were only women, it's strange, but not too much. And they reported that they remember nothing of this conversation.
Okay,
it's
so
very,
full body trance channel.
Absolutely. In fact, they must read what they reported before. I say this, and the entity replied this one.
No memory.
No memory, absolutely. And after these two experiences with these two, say, Agarthian, there was a connection with an entity that defines itself at a higher level, and he or she, because she did declare to have a definite gender, and we call him. Mm-hmm. It's a very, I would say simple name, but because it's interesting, and we have collected more than 30, maybe even more, hours of interview, and we are published and we are available. I can give you the site where to retrieve such material. And this entity was interviewing in about every kind of existence, why we are here,
wow.
How you can define the law of physics in other realms, to every sort of questions. And if these replies are interesting for us, they are very interesting. If they are interesting for other people are simply requested to read them and then to compare what we found with other sources for different traditions and something else. That's our experience.
So are you a scientist by training? What was your...
No, I'm paid by the Italian state, the Italian government, and a researcher.
Research.
My job is a full-time researcher at the Department of General Psychology of Padua University. So I am obliged to search good, interesting things and to disseminate for free to people. That's my job.
Wow. So would you have chosen this research just as a hobby or yourself if it...
Oh, it was always one of the main interests, but when I started to have this job, it was not a good choice to declare to be interested in such a kind of fringe phenomena. So I developed my first part of my career as a specialist in learning disabilities for kids with learning disabilities, and about the methodology of research practice in order to make our research tool more keen for investigating all kind of mental phenomena. And in the last part of my career, I'm almost at the end of my official career, I've been able to dedicate myself to my
your passion,
my passion, and to investigate full time all this kind of stuff.
Wow! Have you ever channeled?
No, because the hypnotist say that I'm not a good level of hypnotizability. I don't know if it is
the scientific mind.
In part, related to my fear, to experience, even my curiosity is very high, my curiosity, or even if my personality trait is not, say, sufficient for experience such a kind of different status of consciousness.
Yet it's your passion. So did you have experiences as a child, like in paranormal?
Absolutely. I must confess that I don't remember very particular, unusual experiences, if you want to use a general term. But I remember since my adolescence, to the big question: who I am, what's the reason of my life here? What's the relation with the spirituality? Even if I was grown in a almost monolithic Catholic religion, but in my young days I felt too much constrained for this dogma. I was not convinced that what they say was the real truth. So I was continuing trying, and so I, for example, studied for a long time anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner anthroposophy. I don't know if it's,
that's right.
Okay, also called the science of spirit. They used it, and now I might confess that I'm studying the science of spirit, or spirituality, if you want, not in religious term, but broader term, from a scientific point of view. That's very interesting because part of many colleagues of mine, they say, "Oh, spirituality is not a real. It's something that is." It cannot be studied scientifically. It is a wrong idea, and I'm convinced that not only me, but some other people, that it's possible to make a bridge between the scientific investigation. There's simply another way to know the reality. One is to make an experience. I have an experience. Okay, I know. Okay, for example, you might say, I know what it would to be a channeler, okay? Because you experienced it.
Right.
You can describe your experience. There is nothing that can convince you that what is channeling. I got this experience, okay? I can describe my experience. We can debate if what are the characteristics, if you are really connecting with spiritual entities, or something strange in your mind, something. Okay, we can debate, but you have this experience. This is your way to know. Okay. Another way is to know by using scientific methods. So this. Okay, I try to
control group.
Okay, is it possible that some information come directly from other entities, or it come directly from the mind of the channeler? Okay, so for example, requesting information that the channel, for example, in our investigation, we ask questions related to biology, physics, history.
Right, something they wouldn't know.
So
before.
The channel say, I never studied such a kind of stuff. So if I say something is not due to my memory or to my knowledge, that is one of the, let's say, proof that okay, something derived
something's
from,
happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The way that the science try to investigate is such unusual. No usual because we don't experience daily such a kind of experience, but are not uncommon as people may think of.
Earlier you talked about the term non-local, using the term
non-local is because when we this is the opposite of what the mainstream, for example, neuroscience. I think that our mind is simply a byproduct of our brain. If you study the brain, you can know everything about our mind. It's absolutely wrong because of many. But if you don't have another theory that the mind, okay, or consciousness, depending on what you want to call, is something that is pre-exist to brain and body, and you can use to alter, to modify your brain. For example, there are phenomena well known, well studied, like the placebo. Placebo is a real mind, matter, mind, body interaction with your expectation, your desire, your say intention to have less pain, to change your pain, change all your biological mechanism. This is a local, okay, your mind that act on your body. I'm also interested in when your mind can obtain information
non-locally,
without space and time constraints.
Totally, yeah.
This implies that we must consider that our mind is not constrained, and not derived directly from the brain. That's another vision of our mind and consequently of our potentiality. Because if you consider what you can do by using your non-local mind characteristic, you can experience different phenomena. For example, in the so-called parapsychological field, they investigate what a non-local mind can do by obtaining information at distance, by interacting at distance, and so on.
That would be profound for your research to be taken seriously, right, by the scientific community and Helene's research. You know, these rare people out there in this profession who are trying to do this research, get the word out that we're multidimensional. That's one word we use.
Well, I think that there's a sort of fear in the scientific community because it moves you to consider that there is something not physical in the sense we intend physical, something that may be, but it is experiential. This is is nothing that you can capture, cannot say investigate, okay, but some people is curious. They say, "Oh, from a spiritual point of view, I accept the fact that I might have a soul that might survive my body." Okay, from a scientific point of view, this no, the soul is not investigable. Okay, it is this sort of diaschisis, this sort of mental breakdown that I see absurd in the even in scientific terms, because there are is impossible to consider something real in one realm and not real in another realm. So it's sort of this schizophrenia, intellectual schizophrenia. So my job is trying to push my colleagues, not only by discussing theories, but by giving proof that our mind has also non-local and for me even eternal characteristics. This is another very interesting problem, because if you consider that something of our identity remain after the body hand, because this sort of that I say that to my colleagues, it's the only things that doesn't require scientific investigation, that our reality, body, is end. Okay? This is a
fact.
A fact. Nobody can deny this, okay? And we can start from here. It's all all our experience end with our body dissolution or something remain, okay? And study the non-local and non-ordinary state of consciousness, this possibility grows as evidence. This, you can imagine, has a big impact on our conception of who we really are.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a great change of idea of how we are, who we really are. That's my big interest.
Thank you so much. Well, I think that more than ever, we're living in a time where your research is going to be more and more and more well received.
Okay, see, in fact, if you look backward, I think that such a kind of say, ideas now can be expressed and published and disseminated with a little less difficulty. Okay?
Yes.
I don't know when there will be a real paradigm change, but okay.
We can imagine it's happening soon.
I'm simply happy to see that people are interested, the students are interested in our stuff, and they are studying, reading, and curious about it. If others will follow us, I don't know.
Thank you. Well, we're going to post this video and we'll put the link to your published papers with the video so people can look it up and see the work that your team has been doing. And I really appreciate your courage to be one of those at the forefront of this research and really breaking through I call it breaking through, you know, this into the scientific community, making this more mainstream and more available to people.
We have also to thank people like you that have such unusual, non-ordinary experiences that are courageous to be investigated by scientific method, because you know in particular this for example the characteristic for choosing people with the real non-ordinary experience and with a good ethical approach, when they are humble, yeah. to be at disposal for people that want to investigate their phenomena. If they say, "Oh no, I don't want," okay, the other people try to say check if I really have this kind of experiences. I say it's better to avoid such a kind of people. Consequently, I thank you for be interested in be part of the scientific investigation.
Yes, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, Patrizio.
And arrivederci.
Arrivederci. We'll see you next time. We're in Venice. Yes.
In the universe.
Yes.
Italy.
See you non-locally. Okay.